Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with John Downey, who's president of Hurtigruten Americas. And as you know, Hurtigruten is the expedition cruise line that's been building amazingly revolutionary ships. And we were on one of those vessels earlier, actually last year.
Yep.
And we're going to talk to John about obviously the big topic, how his line is dealing with the crisis and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, John, first of all, how are you doing up there in Seattle, which actually at one point was one of the hotbeds of coronavirus? Yeah, I'm sorry, I think New York was overtaking you. It must be a competition or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, things have calmed down a little bit here versus when they started. My team and we're happy, safe, healthy right now, which is the best that we can ask for. Everyone's kind of taking it one day at a time. Obviously, state restrictions are changing kind of across the country right now, but Seattle's hanging in there. We're doing pretty well.
That's great news. Now, how has Hurtigruten handled the crisis? What have you done with your ships? And obviously, you've canceled your cruise itineraries. But you know, your line also is in Norway a ferry, freight, and passenger service. So something tells me they might still be operating. But how is it playing out?
Yeah, good question. I mean, obviously, this is a truly extraordinary situation. We definitely haven't seen anything like this from a global perspective in the last 100 years, and Hurtigruten in its 127-year history has never shut down its operations to the level that we have in the last 2 months. So definitely an extraordinary situation. We currently do have two ships running on the Norwegian coast. We do, as you mentioned, provide services, transportation services for mail, people in a limited fashion right now, as well as freight up and down the coast, because it is the most efficient way to move those things back and forth across Norway. So we do have two ships in operation right now. The rest of our ships are in what's called warm stack. And warm stack, if you're not familiar with the term, is keeping our ships ready to go in the event that we do foresee an opportunity to kind of start operations back up again. But obviously, we're going to focus on doing that in the most safe and responsible way. And as I mentioned earlier, just like we're taking things day by day here in Seattle as a company, we're taking things day by day and making the right decisions that are the safest for our customers and our crew.
Where is your newest ship, or one of your newest ships, the Roald Amundsen, right now?
Actually, we have a newer ship. It's the
that's
Nansen.
right. You have a new one that came out. I lost track. Okay.
Yeah, the Nansen, Fridtjof Nansen. It's the sister ship to the Amundsen. It's the world's second hybrid electric ship. Super proud of her as well. She's up in the Norway area right now. We did our inaugural, or what was planned for our inaugural earlier this year near London. But she at the moment is up in the Norway area. The Amundsen is still sailing back up from Antarctica, where it did its last voyage just before everything kind of shut down. Last time I checked, it's somewhere around the Virgin Islands, but it's still on its way back up to Norway. So everything else.
Yeah, does it have guests on it as well?
No, we safely got everyone off the ship after the last Antarctica voyage down in South America. And at this point, it's just crew sailing back to Norway.
Any challenges in them porting at some places, or you've been able to get them through, or maybe they don't have to, I don't know.
No, we worked with the Falkland Islands. So the last voyage, we worked with the Falkland Islands. They were amazing at working through things with us. Obviously, we were very fortunate due to a variety of reasons in terms of measures we put in place on board. We didn't have a single case of COVID on board. And so we were able to work with the Falkland Island government to arrange transport off the ship and then get our guests home safely. So at this point, we don't have any commercial guests on board.
Okay, that's fortunate. So now, what's happened with your operations here in the U.S.? Have you had to furlough people or lay off at least temporarily until you can get back up online?
Yeah, I mean, given that we have canceled the percentage of our cruises, we haven't canceled all of them. We canceled the percentage. We've had to streamline operations here, not just in Norway, but in our regional teams across the world to be as fiscally responsible as we can right now. It's a temporary measure, and the plan is as we start ramping operations back up again, we're looking forward to welcoming that team, part of the team back. And again, right now the focus is just staying safe and healthy.
Absolutely. Now, what is there a date? I mean, you said that you have some cruises coming up. Do you have any kind of idea when you would return to cruising, and from where? What would you begin with?
Yeah, I think that's the $1 million question for almost every firm right now. Our focus is returning to cruising as soon as we can, but as safely as we can. We will ultimately gradually restart our operations in areas where restrictions are lifted, where we believe it's safe and when we believe it's safe. So obviously this will depend, given that we are an expedition cruise firm and we sell all over the world and port in a variety of different countries. It will depend on how restrictions are lifted and where they are relative to our itineraries. So at the moment, we don't have a specific date yet, but we're monitoring the situation on a day-by-day basis and making adjustments as we go.
And of course, for you, Antarctica cruising is really big, and maybe the Arctic as well. Do you believe you're going to plan some of those? Are those on the agenda if and when you start?
Yeah, definitely still on the agenda. I mean, the fortunate part is Antarctica season is still a number of months away, which gives us time, both the world time to adjust to the situation and address the COVID-related issues, and then also gives us time to prepare in the event that we can start operations back up in Antarctica. We want to. We're excited about the Antarctica season, but we just don't know. There's too many variables that are kind of unknown right now. What I can tell you is we have chosen to warm stack our ships so that in the event that we do have that opportunity to start sailing again, we can do it quickly, and we can adhere as closely to our originally planned itineraries across the world as possible.
No, that'd be great. And of course, you have some amazing cruises and some amazing itineraries. So we're looking forward to when you can start them. Now, have you been working on any new protocols for your ships to sort of help guests regain confidence in cruising? I mean, new cleaning and screening and ship operations?
Absolutely. So, I mean, to start, we already actually had a number of protocols across our ship operations to address hygiene to begin with. Even before COVID hit, we had pre-expedition doctor reviewed approvals for each of our guests doing expedition cruises because they are so remote. Because our expedition cruises are remote, your interaction with guests off the ship are already more limited or non-existent because we're in such remote areas of the world. And then our ships are small. They're 500 people max, and so inherently there's less exposure. But on top of that, we also had hefty hygiene protocols in place on board. We have hand washing stations around the ship. We have hand sanitizer stations around the ship. That was already in place ahead of time, and we credit a lot of that to why we didn't have a single case of COVID on board when everything kind of broke. But we are never about setting the minimum standard. We're all about raising the bar in terms of what is necessary for the situation to keep our guests and our crew healthy and safe. And so we're looking at a variety of different measures across the ship, across our operational protocols to reduce, keep our crew and our guests as safe as possible. Good example of that is we're looking at doing capacity restrictions on the ship to impose social distancing requirements so that both from a cabin perspective as well as from a food and restaurant perspective to inherently limit exposure that you would have to other guests. So that's an example, but there are many, many other protocols that we're looking at stepping up beyond our already strict protocols on our ships.
Yeah, well, unless penguins can get COVID-19, I think you'll be okay when you dock in Antarctica. Or you're out there.
Let's hope they don't.
Who knows? I mean, I hear something new every day. But now, how are you marketing to actually your customers right now, if you are at all? I mean, I know I've seen some sort of virtual experiences that you've been introducing to get them thinking about cruising on Hurtigruten. But how are you doing that?
Yeah, so our first priority right now is focusing on attending to our currently booked guests and their travel advisor partners. That is absolutely the main priority to make sure that they get their questions answered. We can accommodate them as much as we need to in this situation. We're also offering webinars right now, Q&A sessions, and we're posting articles around our destinations and our sustainability measures. But we also, as you mentioned, we do have some virtual traveling that we're offering right now. The main one is you can sail the Norwegian coast with us. With the 2 ships we have in place right now, we have an NRK broadcast, which is Norwegian television, for a show called Hurtigruten Minute by Minute. And it takes guests all the way from Bergen to Kirkenes, so south to north end of the country, and you get to experience the entire voyage. And I can send you the link for readers to click through too. So that's a great opportunity to experience a quintessential experience that Hurtigruten offers in Norway. We also, if your readers aren't familiar with Hurtigruten Insiders on Facebook, it is an incredible forum for discussion around Hurtigruten voyages. It encompasses both past guests who have been on voyages with us. Normally when we would be running operations, the current guests are posting pictures and videos of their experiences on board, and then future guests can go on board and learn and find out more about us. And many of our guests, we love them. They have turned what was obviously a very negative situation with COVID into a very positive experience. And they are actually running their own personal virtual voyages from their past experiences on board. And so you can get a chance to see that on Hurtigruten Insiders as well.
No, that sounds wonderful. I think I've seen a bit of it. And it really is something, because it gives people an idea of what you offer and the experiences that you offer. And you mentioned working with travel advisors now, and I assume most of the cancellations, refunds, and rebooking process has been completed now, or are you still working on some of that?
I think it depends on when your voyage was in 2020. Most have probably called us at this point or have reached out to us online. But I'm sure there's still customers at this point that are still thinking about whether to kind of rebook their voyage later this year. But we are trying to provide the absolute most flexibility for our travel advisor partners and their guests in this whole situation. And so we're offering rebooking free of charge, no penalties around that. And we're giving 100% future cruise credits for a future cruise of their choice. And we're also for their existing booking. And then we're also offering a 10% discount on all on a future Hurtigruten voyage of their choice as well. So they get to experience this again. But right now, 100% focused on supporting our travel advisors and giving them and their guests the ultimate flexibility.
What are you doing in terms of reaching out to travel advisors with new training or new programs and getting them ready to book the line when the time comes?
Yeah, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we are doing webinars in a kind of a broader way to offer training. We're publishing a lot of articles online as well. But in addition to that, we're also, if you have a Hurtigruten representative, if you're a travel advisor and you have a Hurtigruten representative, our representatives are standing by for questions. They've also done individual webinars with some of our travel advisors to get them more educated and experienced on the cruise offering that we have in the expedition space.
Now, are you getting bookings for 2021 through your travel advisors, or are people sort of not ready to do that yet?
No, we are still getting bookings. Customers, I think, I'll be honest, with quarantining that has been in place, customers are dreaming about their next vacations. And so we still are getting bookings. Like I said, we're focused on supporting those who need to rebook right now, but people are still excited about traveling in the future and thinking about traveling in the future.
And any incentives? Are you offering anything for travel advisors to get them really, a lot of advisors right now are hesitant to ask for the sale, even for 2021. But I think I have heard a number, including some very big cruise agencies, are successfully selling. I didn't know if you were working on something to incentivize them further for next year.
Yeah, it's a great question. Right now, the last thing we want to do is pressure our travel advisors into booking when they're really trying to handle a lot of their existing customers that have bookings in place that they're trying to kind of figure out next steps on. So that, again, is our main focus. But we are thinking about that going forward, and we actually do have plans in place to incentivize our travel advisors when we do feel like it's the right time to start actively marketing again with them. So we are thinking about them. They are our best partners, and they are very much our main focus for when we do start ramping operations and marketing back up again. They'll be the first people that we're calling to get things moving, and we will definitely be providing incentives for them.
No, that's great news. Now, any other messages you want to get out to our, we have about 100,000 travel advisors who subscribers now, and they're starting to look at these things. Believe me, they really are enjoying the interaction and seeing the reports that we get from top executives like yourself about the lines. Anything else you want to get out to them, or any recommendations on how they should proceed in this crisis?
Yeah, so a couple things. First, we're here for you. We specifically kept, even though it's a reduced team, a team on staff to make sure you are all supported during this period, because we know this is super challenging with both your businesses and also your guests. Everyone's worried about what the future holds, and we're here to help kind of walk you through all that. The rebooking policy, the flexibility and rebooking policies that we are offering is there to help all of you move through that. But if you have questions, if you are concerned about something, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call either your representative, your dedicated representative to Hurtigruten, or call our customer experience center, and we can help you work through any of those challenges. We know that they're often on a case-by-case basis, and that's why we're keeping the lines open, so that with complicated situations, we can help you with that. We are really looking forward to the travel industry and expedition cruising ramping back up again when things are safe. And we're going to be there right alongside you every step of the way.
John, thank you very much for taking the time to tell us a little bit about what's going on with Hurtigruten at this time. I think it's amazing you still have 2 ships running the coastal lines. I suspected you did because that is an obvious, that's an essential service, I think, up in Norway. And then the fact that you are keeping those ships warm and ready to go when the time is right. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, James. I'm really looking forward to the point when we can do these conversations in person again.
Me too. I know we would have already seen each other a couple of times this year, and now we're going to have to wait till at some point. Who knows what the first conference is going to be? I think I said to someone the other day, the first one I have in my books right now is asked at the end of August, but I'm not so sure that's going to happen. So we'll see.
Cross our fingers.
I know. I think I saw you at ASTA last year. So
yeah, yep.
And that was when I think you were fairly new at the point a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Only a couple months in. Yeah. At that point. Yeah.
Well, again, welcome to the cruise industry, as I say. a great second year to start, right?
Yes, I'm optimistic. So.
Absolutely. Again, thank you very much. And I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.